Hey, welcome to Garage Talk. As always, I'm Conrad. Let's go.
I'm Ted. It's time to rock and roll.
Hey, Teddy. Today with us in the garage, a Grant County Hall of Famer,
Andrew King.
How we doing, Coach?
I'm doing great.
Doing great?
Yeah, sun was out today, a little chilly, but I'm doing great.
It was real chilly today.
But the sun comes out, so it makes it feel better.
Yeah.
Always.
Always when that sun comes up.
Yes. So would you do all our fans and everybody listening and watching, tell them a little bit about yourself, your background.
I was born 1 mile north of Oak Hill High School, where I grew up on 300 North, agriculturally based background. My one grandfather on my mother's side was a farmer, farmed the ground, Robert Wimmer, around the airport. My other grandfather I never got to know, but he was a family doctor in Swayze, Indiana. P.C. King, Doc King. My mother and father, Ian King, sibling of 2 brothers and 1 sister. And my mother is Joanne Wimmer, identical twin sister. Chloanne was her sibling. I have 1 older sister, 3 years older. Went to Oak Hill High School, graduated in 81. Either kicked me out, one of the two, but they let me get out of there in 81. And I went down to DePaul University and played football and wrestled down at DePaul University and got an education. My dad said I had to go to college at least 1 year. After that was my call. But he goes, you gotta go. If you can get that diploma, at least you have a insurance policy in case you get hurt. Because the work we do is we pour concrete, do excavating, and do a lot of work with our hands.
Yeah.
So
How long have you been doing that?
Since 1985.
Wow.
Yeah, since I graduated from
Right out of
DePaul,
college.
Came right out of college, and I grew up in a family business. My mom and dad we did farming, but then they went into trucking, IC King Trucking, based out of Swayze, Indiana.
I remember that.
Yep. And
So before we go into your
Yeah.
coaching history,
okay,
let's talk about you as a young man in the Oak Hill area going through and being an athlete. How did your love for athletics come about?
good question. The team concept, doing things together with other peers who are your friends, to be able to go out on the field or on the court, because I was a basketball player until my freshman year, just like every young
Indiana.
Indiana
every
who was
Hoosier.
born.
Yeah.
I went to Bobby Knight basketball camp 3 years, I believe.
Really?
Oh yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So down there, Kent Benson, I still remember the display that he gave of Bobby Knight. But you got to be somewhat of a Bobby Knight fan, even if you like Purdue. So just like
I agree.
Just like Gene Cady. I mean, they're great coaches
Yep.
Yeah.
in their own right. But yeah, the idea of athletics, I say the teamwork, working with friends for a common goal.
Yeah.
Physically, the work wasn't necessarily that hard because it was something that we did together, developed those skills. I was, gifted as far as blessed by the coaches. Jim Law was my football coach, and I mean, Hall of Famer, great Christian, great man from Converse, and knew him growing up. And he had a son that was a year older, and he had a son that was my age, and he had a son that was a few years later, which everyone now knows of Coach Law.
Yeah, yep.
Because that was Todd Law, the basketball coach, with all the state records and stuff at Oak Hill. It was just something fun to do with friends. And that's what motivated me to do things with friends.
Yeah, and it just blossomed from there.
Yeah.
And then after that, you graduated and went to college.
Went to college,
What college did you go to?
DePaul University, down in Greencastle, Indiana. A lot of people hear DePaul and they think with the L up in
Yeah.
Chicago.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a NCAA D3 school.
Okay.
So there's no scholarships. So you have to really love the sport to go there. And to be truthful, I actually my father told me I had to go to college for 1 year, and I thought, well, I don't know if I can play football or not. And my dad's brother, Bill King, said that he knew Nick Morosis, who was the head football coach down at DePaul, who, by the way, was a Sagamore of the Wabash recipient, which is the highest award you can get as a civilian. So that shows the character of that coach that I
Exactly.
played under. So I was blessed by two incredible men as well as coaches. And the DePaul experience was great. Fraternal, developed friends there also, kept going playing, and got ready to graduate. And Dan Brockler, who's the head wrestling coach, who really developed the program at Oak Hill and got it going in the success motion, said, I need an assistant coach. When I was graduating, I said, well, okay, I'm not doing anything else. Why not? And that's where the coaching came in.
So a couple years as assistant, and then in '87 you took over, correct?
1 year as an assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
yeah, so
believe I did
86,
take over.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
because, well, the 1 year before I graduated from college and was over in Europe
Okay.
playing World Football League.
Really?
Over there, I got invited to go over and play in Europe, up in Finland.
Wow.
You're
Travel-
kidding me.
No, that was over there.
What was that like?
That was amazing. That was actually, I would have to say, the beginning of, if I caught a bug to be a coach, that's where I caught it.
Really?
Yeah, because we went over to Finland. Another kid, Rob Suda, from the University of Michigan. He was the offensive coordinator player, and I was the defensive coordinator player. And this all came from Nick Morosis.
Wait,
Okay.
you got to be the defensive coordinator and play?
Play, yes.
Wow.
We played because it was a new sport. It's still, it was really just amazing because they spoke English in Finland, and they spoke two other languages and their native language, Finnish. And that's it. They did that through school. And the age range was from 18 to 38.
Wow.
So you're going on the field, and Rob Suda and I were looking at the practice that they were showing, and they're also proud of the practice, which was awesome because they worked hard at it. But but you think about it, the sport of football, you got to learn how to catch the ball. They're playing soccer, and you get penalized if you catch the ball.
Right.
And they're playing hockey, and you don't want to catch a puck
Right.
because that hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, they're playing basketball, but it's not as prevalent. So basically, they had to learn how to catch the ball. So those skills, and tackling was pretty funny because they were diving at legs, and they were watching I think the Dolphins. John Riggs was Redskins.
Redskins, John
And,
Reagan.
Riggins, the
Yep.
Redskins. I think they're playing the Dolphins in one of the Super Bowls,
Yep.
and that was the shows. That's how they were learning how to play football.
Really?
Yes, and so you go to the skill sets and how to tackle, but they're athletes.
Huh.
There's no doubt they're athletes. So to teach someone who's an athlete how to do certain techniques to then improve their game, that's the coaching bug.
Okay.
Because it doesn't matter what sport it is. I'm not so sure, as crazy as it sounds, as swimming. My wife coaches swimming, and a swimmer, I give them a hard time because they're just guppies. But they're oops, did you hit the wall? Or did you get injured by hitting the wall, or did you slip when you went off the board and hit your head? But their technique is critical. Where the hand is up or side and what stroke, and they emphasize. So technique for a swimmer is even more critical than I think other sports with their techniques.
You had a huge smile on your face as you're talking.
I try to do that often, but it doesn't always work.
It looked like you have fond memories of being over there.
I do.
Because that sounds like a really extraordinary experience for a young man to get a chance to go to another country
Yes.
and play a sport.
Yes. And I learned a couple lessons. And the first lesson I learned, which is kind of funny, but I'll just say it anyway. Those of us that wear underwear, put them on one leg at a time. It doesn't matter what language you speak. So we're all humans.
Yeah.
We're all the same. We all like to laugh, and we all like to enjoy ourselves. And we just, the language barrier, and that's neat to see that. And then we're all humans. And so the love and compassion for each other, if we get past the politics and we get past a lot of other factors I don't want to get into
Right.
tonight.
Yeah. No, we don't either.
Yeah, we're just humans, and we forget that sometimes. But sports, athletics, the Olympics that are coming up, that's
Yep.
part of it. Time out. Let's
Yep.
play some games.
Yep.
Let's be athletes. Let's enjoy the Olympics. Okay?
Everybody
And then
get
once the
together.
Olympics are over with, okay, now let's go back to bickering and fighting,
Right.
and trying to dominate and all these other things.
Some friendly competition. So what did you find was different about competition from America to Finland when you were there?
I did not find any difference.
There's no difference.
No, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to compete, to become better, to learn the techniques, the skill sets. I mean, obviously, there's. I like to think that our passion to win is greater here in America, but I can't say that.
Can't say that.
I can't
Yep.
say that and be honest about it.
Unless you've experienced it in a different country.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all got to be
I mean,
close to the
when
same.
you watch the Olympics,
Yeah. Mhm.
everybody's competing
Yep.
to win. Obviously, the skill set's not there for some of the other countries because
Right.
they haven't learned the techniques or the science.
Yep.
And I suppose that's where the coaching bug probably started for me.
So when you got back to the States, you were ready to rock and roll,
Well, I was ready to figure out what I was going to do.
as Teddy says.
Yeah, rock and roll. I was ready to figure out what I was going to do. I didn't know. I didn't have a girlfriend. I was working with my mom and dad in their business, footloose and fancy free, and no hurry to do anything. But I knew we were going to work because that's what mom and dad made sure we were doing. We were working.
Right.
My sister and I, we were going to work. Now you want to play, you figure out when you're going to do that after you put in your 80 hours.
Yep. Yep.
And then we'll go from there. But then Dan Brockler approached me and said, would you mind being the assistant wrestling coach? And I said, sure, why not? Because, his assistant needed to take some time off to spend time with family. Al Mitchell, he was a teacher at Oak Hill. And I said, sure. And so that was an enjoyable time. We went down up to semi-state, and it was a disappointing semi-state that year. And Coach Brockler came up to me that right then, and you could tell he was disappointed, and everyone was. He goes, Andrew, it's your turn. It's your turn. So I said, no, we're not going to do that. But we talked later, and history is what it is.
So you nodded your head and said, okay,
Yeah,
I
I
guess
did.
it's my turn.
Yeah, I didn't know what that really meant, and so I learned a lot as you're the guy in charge of the program.
Yeah. So at that point, you hadn't had any children,
No.
and you were going to be in charge
Yes.
of some young youth and help develop them,
Yes.
their minds, and
That's
how's
a
that?
challenge in itself. Yes. It's a huge responsibility,
Yes.
but it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. General Schwarzkopf, I think it's right if I pronounced it correctly. Desert Storm.
Schwarzkopf.
Schwarzkopf, thank you.
Yep.
You need to remember two rules, Rule 13 and Rule 14. He spoke for like 2 hours. And he says, gentlemen, you will never remember anything I just said, but you need to remember two rules. One, when placed in a position of control, take charge. Two, do what's right.
Yep.
So if you remember that, he says, and you don't have to be told what's right. You were born knowing what's right.
Yes.
So do what's right, and when placed in a position of command, take charge.
Why are those two rules so hard for people?
Oh, my.
And without diving into the human psyche,
Because they're not easy.
And that's true. They're not.
They're not easy. And unfortunately, I think it could be a human trait to try to go the easiest route.
And
And the easiest route is not necessarily wrong, but it's hard to do what's right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what's right actually hurts.
hurts. Yep. Exactly.
I have a close friend that always says I'm a glutton for punishment because I just can't help it. I'll dive in there. If nobody raises their hand, it's me. I'll do it. Since nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it. And that's why me and Teddy are like this right now, because Teddy's the same way. Yeah, I'll do it. He's the guy that we can't find a basketball commissioner. What are we gonna do? We got 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. I know the guy to call. Hey, Teddy, you want to be basketball commissioner? I don't know. Well, nobody else wants to do it. Okay, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
And why is it so hard for people to do that? But you did that.
I did. I said, okay, I'll try that. And I give him Mr. Get the names, Kitch. I believe he was the superintendent at that time. And I'll see him at the gas station in Converse every once in a while. And every time I see him, I get a grin because I go over and talk to him. I said, so you still think I should be the head coach at Oak Hill? He goes, okay, you've convinced me now. Because that very first year, I was a lay coach, so I wasn't in the school system. And he says, I'm apprehensive because you're a lay coach. Andrew, I know who you are, but I'm apprehensive. But Coach Brockler said we should give you a try, so I'll reluctantly do it.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of being a lay coach? And a
Huge-
lay coach means, for those who don't know, he's not a teacher or works for the school.
Correct.
He's a person doing what's right.
The one of the parts of being a lay coach that you could wear handcuffs is that you don't see the kids on a daily basis.
Right.
So you have to spend extra effort to reach out and touch and meet and talk to, the young future athletes.
Yep.
Or the people that they're not in your classroom, they're not walking down the hallway. And so that helps. But what gets me over that hump is that I've lived in the same community my whole life.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of people, oh yeah, you're right, that's Coach King. Well, wait a minute, I thought that was, the owner of CCI, and we did concrete work
Right.
in my garage. And I'll go to many places, and the person will look at me, and they have a look of, do I know you?
I know him.
Yeah,
I know
he looks at me and says,
Uh-huh.
do I know you? I said, well, I don't know, do you follow wrestling? And they'll go, oh yeah, that's it. Now, unfortunately, I might be in Kokomo and be someone from Western. And of course, when I go over to Roosterville,
They don't like you as well.
no, they don't like me in Roosterville at all.
And that's,
I'll go by grocery store over there at Waddell's, and I gotta watch my back because one of the shepherds might be walking in.
well, and that's like you said, it's, okay, so you're not there with them on a daily basis till practice. But when you first started, it had to be harder because I'm like you, I do the same thing with the junior high. Back then, you don't know till after school what went on. But now, okay, the teacher or the AD or somebody can send you an email or a message and say, hey, talk to so-and-so tonight about this situation. So you've been doing it for 38 years, so, go back 30 years and
Wow.
it wasn't as accessible.
No, it was harder.
Yeah.
But I had more energy then too.
Yeah, I know,
So
me too.
I was younger and I was dumber, and midnight was nothing. That was okay. I worked
Yeah.
midnight, still get up
Yeah,
till
get up.
6 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now when
9
10 o'clock rolls around,
Yeah,
9, 10
yeah.
o'clock, I'm like, man, where's the bed sheets now?
Yeah,
I'm looking
but-
for them.
But let's jump back a few years. Let's go back to high school days because, you were all county, all conference, football,
Yep.
wrestling. You went to semi-state. That had to be, I don't know, we've never experienced that. So, you get through sectional, you get through regional, you go to semi-state. And
Yes.
what's that as a 17, 18-year-old kid?
It's uncharted territory. And I'll give a lot of that credit to Dan Brockler. He taught a lot of the basics, and I felt like God gave me some athletic abilities for sure. But Coach Brockler was a good coach and kept me, focused in. I still remember semi-state being very disappointed on not making it to state, but it's just one of those things.
Yep.
That's the thing about athletics, is that it's a small microcosm of life. Everything's not always good. There's tough things and you have to
Yep.
get through them. So athletics helps.
I think that's what
Athletics learn.
sports
It
does.
does.
It's what sports does, is teaches people to, you're not always going to like your teammate.
Life lessons.
Life lessons.
You're not always going to like your neighbor either.
Yeah,
No.
right.
Or your coworker.
Or your
Coworker,
coworker.
your-
or the person you work for, or the person you work with, or so on and so forth. But to me, the adversity of accomplishing that common goal that we talked about earlier with those people
Yes.
that you may or may not like. You might love them, then again, you might not. But you guys are working together, and it ends up bonding everybody
Yes.
in the end. So that to me, like, that's what sports means to me
Yes.
is, and now it turns out we're having to do that for kids
Yeah.
because they're not those soft characteristics of talking to each other, communication, socialization, overcoming adversity. I feel like they're losing touch with that. Myself. That's just my opinion. But I feel like that's what sports and you are kind of doing now as a coach.
Yeah, I try to.
Try to.
I get asked, every year, is this your last year, Coach? How much longer are you going to do it? And my typical answer is, as long as I feel like I'm being effective, then I
Yep.
can still coach. As long as God gives me the energy to stay at it, the physical ability, then I will.
Well, you've been effective because I know all the other wrestling coaches in the county, and they hold you in high regard, and they speak
Oh, yeah.
really highly of you.
Well, I appreciate that.
And that's, like I said, we talked about you going to semi-state in high school. You actually did it twice, correct? You went semi-state twice?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and then you played football in college, but you also wrestled. And he was a 4-time MVP in college, 4 years in a row.
Well, it helps when you don't have very good teammates.
Says the MVP.
It is.
Yeah.
But let me share a story back in the high school days, okay? So Andrew was a grade ahead of me, so he would have been a senior, I would have been a junior. It was football season. And I think we always played you guys like the first or second game of the year back then.
It was early in the season, yes.
And it was at Oak Hill, and I'm a 5'6", 145-pound running back.
Was that back then?
Yeah,
Because
I've
there's
put on
no
some weight
way.
since then.
Man, I'm 5'6" now.
So
Yeah.
Whatever Coach Fisher called it. No, my junior year would have been Coach Atkinson, really. Bill. 32 dive or whatever. So I'm heading up the middle. And, next thing I know, we were probably on the 30. So I get the ball at the 30, and next thing I know, I'm at the 40. This guy nailed me. So then back then, you could read the paper the next day, the Chronicle Tribune. Whoever the reporter was that game asked him, there's like, how do you tackle so well? And this was your quote from back when you were seniors.
This could
Says,
be good. This could be really
I
good."
picture that guy, that running back with a bullseye on his chest, and I'm putting my helmet right in the middle. Yeah, so
And that's not how you're supposed to tackle now.
not now. Yeah, that's
No,
we've got rules on tackling now. But
Yeah.
yeah. So, but that's he.
Now, we can still stick the helmet right in the chest. Just
Yeah.
gotta make sure the crown doesn't.
Yeah,
rip
the
in.
crown-
Use the
Crown's
crown, but
Yeah.
then you better slide it real quick, to
Better,
the
yeah.
side.
Yeah.
That's football's becoming. Pretty soon it's going to be flag football. That's
You can't hip tackle anymore.
the hip drag.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
going to do away with
Hip
that
drag.
next year in the NFL.
They're gonna get rid of the
The hip drag. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, but
That is, to me, like, for you to say, I like, back then when you were a kid and you were playing high school football, is that what you really did? Imagine them with a bullseye.
It just, I mean, you're either gonna get hit or you're gonna hit.
Oh, you're eventually going to get some.
One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
always felt like it's best to, as hard and as fast as I could,
Yeah.
just run right through whoever that guy had, where he was, whether it's the blocker or the running back. Just try to go all out.
And
Because you
thank
try
God.
to pansy into it, then you're going to get hurt.
Well, yeah, true. But thank God I survived that hit.
I'm glad to.
I still might have some cobwebs up there.
Cobwebs.
But
So now you're coaching,
Yes.
and what are like the biggest joys for you as a coach? Because we talked about it beforehand. I would love for you to share that story about the kids that you had with their academic.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that happened at the awards banquet
yeah,
this year. And you have an all-state on academic state recipient, 1 or 2 a year. And I think we've had 3 at any one time. And it's a great achievement to do that. And when I was getting ready to go to the awards banquet, Mr. Fagan, athletic director, gives the coaches their awards, and he handed me these certificates. And I go, oh, yeah, these are academic. Of course, I'm not in the school system, so I really don't know how well the kids are behaving in school or what grades they're getting. And I get these papers, and I'm thinking, oh my golly. I look at it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I looked at Fagan and said, are you serious? He goes, yeah. I don't know how you did it, but there's 6 of them that are academic all-state.
that's amazing. Yeah, that's
And so we gave all the awards out, and at the end of the awards program, I said, okay, or my session of it, I said, okay, now we're going to give the awards out for why we're really here. And I had 6 guys come up and didn't tell what for. And I said, now these guys, just so you know, Coach Remberger, wrestlers are not stupid. These guys are all state record. These are all state academics.
and that's amazing. I mean, that's
yeah.
I mean, six. I mean, I don't care what sport it is, but
Yeah, so
to
that
have
was-
6 of them, man, that's
That's an accomplishment.
kudos to
Coach.
you and those
Yeah.
kids. I mean, that's
so
well,
that was
and,
the kids and the teachers.
and the teachers. Yes, I mean that's
And that's part of do what's right.
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right.
It's hard.
Yep.
It's hard to stay up late and study and turn in the homework and
Well, and that's what a lot
hard
of
to do what's right.
and some of them kids don't realize that either. Is that man, I might be a good athlete, but if I've got better grades, I'm still going to school.
Yes.
And coach is the role model right there.
Yeah, that's true.
So hard work, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yes.
And they see a hard-working coach. Concrete is no.
Yeah.
It's a job for tough guys.
It can be. It's very
Yep.
challenging.
Yep.
I'm sure every job has its challenges.
Yeah.
Right, but
But yes, it can be
Yeah.
physically tolling. And my niece probably know about it today.
I'm
Well,
sure
I mean,
that's
ask somebody how to. Do they know the formula to get a cubic yard of concrete?
Any wrestler or high school student that's worked with me in the summer, they do. I
And that's why they got those academic.
Because I make them figure it out. I said, do you know how to
Yeah.
figure concrete? No. I said, well, you're going to learn.
And that, it's not easy. I mean,
now those kids that work for you in the summer are not like I like him better as a wrestling coach.
Well, I'm sure if you were to ask some of them who they thought Coach King was as a wrestling coach is a little different than Mr. King, the owner of a business.
so what
Conrad,
does,
have you ever taken a wheelbarrow full of concrete and tried to drive it along a 2x4
No,
to get
but-
where you got to go?
I'll tell you what,
I have.
It's 2 different things, but I've thrown concrete on my shoulder, and a bag of concrete, and walked it. It's not fun. That stuff is dead weight. That is heavy, and like you have to be precise with the floats and all the finishing job that's done with concrete. I think, again, skilled trades are something that I don't want to say undervalued. I think we need to focus on skilled trade. We like electricians, concrete work, masonry, pipes.
Mechanics,
Yep, mechanics. Yep.
HVAC,
Welding.
Yes,
Yep.
welders.
all that stuff is
Yeah.
needed desperately. But as a coach, what are some of your favorite what are some of your favorite things to go through at the beginning of a season?
At the beginning, so you asked the question earlier about what gives me joy
Yeah.
in coaching. And we had a couple of them that did it this year.
Okay.
The underdog,
Oh yeah.
the young man that was not blessed with a lot of God-given talent, he just stayed with it. He didn't give up. He didn't listen to what he was doing in his record when he was a freshman or a sophomore. He wasn't good enough to be varsity all the way till his senior year. He finally is able to wrestle varsity at Oak Hill his senior year. Now that doesn't happen very much because everybody wants the success as a freshman, sophomore. Okay, I'll hang in there one more year. But usually, if you have a young man that has not wrestled varsity until his senior year, he's never going to get that opportunity because he's already gone. He's given up. Well, this year we had 2 young men, 3 really, that did not wrestle varsity until their senior year, and they were all 3 very successful, but they just stayed with it. And to watch that happen, to transpire, and those kids come out, and other coaches come and says, "Who's this kid? Where'd he come from?" Well, he's been hiding in the shadows, and to keep that, encourage them, and that's a joy. That's a real joy to see the underdog prevail and stay with it.
That is. That's
I love cheering on underdogs to a fault. So when you have someone like that, do you pull them aside and say, "Hey, listen, you can't quit"?
That's the thing. When they're freshmen, sophomores, usually I don't have to pull them off to the side and tell them that because you can see it in their face. They're getting discouraged, but you say something like, "You're doing good. Hang it. Just keep going at it. Just keep going." And that person has to decide himself.
right.
Yes, there has been more than one that, "Coach, I'm done." I said,
Yep.
No, you can't be done. "Yes, I am." "No, you're not." "Yes, you are." "No, you're not." So, okay, let's go one more week. So then you got to do a little psychology.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I
Because I got a
like it.
psych minor from college.
Oh,
I gotta use a little psychology.
I like it.
That's it. I never used my education, but so I use a little psychology,
Yeah.
and they just stay with it, and that's great. And that's an individual decision that, as people, we have to just not give up, whether it be a marriage or whether a job that's not going
Right.
too good, or just that stick-to-itiveness. Make a decision the right way.
Right.
It's hard to describe.
It is.
It's
but-
easy for me to preach it,
Right. But like you said, you'll go back to life lessons, okay? They get the job or whatever a few years down the road. It's like, man, I hate this job or whatever, but I've got to do it. I've got to support myself. Then, 2-3 years later, maybe they get that promotion or they're named a boss. It's
When you
like you
start
said,
to
sports just carries over.
start to work for a company and your seniority, there's
Yeah.
like 105 people ahead of
Right.
you. I'm never going to move up. But if that person just stays with it, I promise in 2 years,
Yeah.
you're going to be in the top 50.
Yep.
If not in the top 20, because there's a whole bunch of other people have already
They're gone now, yeah.
moved on to something else or changed or.
Or they didn't have the work ethic. Exactly. That's
What's conditioning look like for you preseason?
Conditioning,
for the wrestlers.
I don't want to brag too much,
No, brag.
but hopefully it's one
Because
of our,
nobody's going to do it for you,
it's
man.
hopefully one of our best kept secrets. It's so,
Oh,
You don't have
if
to
you
share
don't
it,
want to
then.
share your secret recipe, I understand. But
Oak Hill wrestlers would like me to say this, I'm sure. I am 99% sure there might be somebody else in the state that works as hard as we do in the practice room. But they are far and few between if they work harder than we do.
Okay.
Sprints. You got to run sprints. And then you do agilities, and then we get to do more sprints. We start to practice off with kind of a long run and warm up. And so the idea is to make practice really hard, work on your cardiovascular, so when you get to the match, that's the easier part.
Right.
And then you use the mental aspect. If a young man who really doesn't have much talent, but he knows he's got a big gas tank, it's a psychological thing. this guy can beat you in the first 30 seconds. But if you can prevail, stay away from his gift.
Get to 31 seconds.
Wear him down.
Yeah,
Wear him
you
down.
start wearing him down. Okay, now the table's getting a little more because I don't have the natural ability that you have. You're stronger and you're faster. I just got energy because I got more conditioning. And I know how to live and survive for that first period. And all of a sudden the tables get even in the second period. And that's one of the joys of coaching is to watch a young man who does not have the physical ability, but in the third period you can just see the superior wrestler ability-wise without conditioning start to wilt.
Yep.
And the young man who really doesn't have athletic ability has the energy and can wrestle right through it.
That is super wise.
That is. That's.
But it's hard to do that though. If you're already, you've ran 100 sprints, you still got to run 50 more.
Yeah.
So
That's
mid-season-
exaggeration, obviously.
yeah. But mid-season, now what are you looking at? You're looking at, are things adjusted nutrition-wise? Because I got to say, I admire the discipline it takes for a wrestler to watch his nutrition just to keep weight or things he's got to do to
Keep
make
weight,
weight,
yes.
you know?
And that's a huge challenge. But discipline of you don't get to eat all that you want to eat. You need to eat what you need to eat. You need to eat healthy foods, but you just cannot have 2 hamburgers. You can have half of a hamburger, or maybe one, but then that means you got to run more sprints.
Right. Yep.
So forget the candy bars, forget the sweet drinks.
Chew slowly.
Yeah, I suppose you could choose solo. I don't know. Each individual has a different,
Yeah.
they're different things. Emilio Lascano this year worked really diligently to keep his weight down. He's real tall and thin, had the leverage. He's the young man that made it to state this year. And
Sounds like a wrestler, too, that name.
Emilio Lascano,
Yeah.
he does not look like a wrestler. And he also had his basketball dreams broken when he got to 8th grade. So he didn't start wrestling until his 8th grade.
Yeah.
But he had the discipline and not eat all that you want. Well, that's a whole nother adventure in itself, like a boxer. And, you know,
Right.
whether
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a swimmer, a basketball player, a football player, whoever, they don't have that discipline.
Yeah.
That sets wrestling a little bit of a part.
Yeah.
Now,
Discipline.
Take us through a Saturday. It's a super meet.
Oh, good meet Saturday?
You guys get there. I mean,
Well, I hope they were supposed to have been in bed early the night before.
Right,
No
okay.
dates, no basketball games.
Yep.
Get to bed early, even if you can't sleep, lay there and let your body rest.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff. Now, you can't go to their beds and make sure they stay there.
right.
So then you got Saturday morning, you get on the bus. You got to make sure you don't forget your headgear,
Mm-hmm.
you don't forget your shoes, and you don't forget your singlet.
Has it happened?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But I'm sure if my wrestlers will listen right now, what's one of the things that Coach King or Coach Tarleton says when you get on the bus? Check your bag. Do you
Yep.
have your singlet? Do you have your shoes? Do you have your headgear?
Yep.
And so many times, you got to say it over the years. I don't know how many times I've done it, but there's been a dozen times anyway where someone gets, wait, Coach.
I gotta go back in.
Gotta go back into school, come back, and that's not necessarily the freshman either. Sometimes it's the
Right.
senior.
But now, how about nutrition-wise that morning?
Well, it depends on your weight, but you're really not eating anything. 'Cause
Right.
You gotta get weighed in
Yep. Then.
to weigh in. And you got hopefully parents understand. The kids aren't starving themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They're just maintaining what they can and can't consume, and it's when you eat.
Right.
So then after you've made the weigh-ins, which sometimes that's a challenge in itself too.
I'm sure.
So you get on the scales of the school and, daggone, you're 3/4 of a pound over. Well, okay, so you're putting the sweats on, you're running in the bus to lose that 3/4 of a pound
Wow.
before you get there.
You know, depending on your height and things like that, like 1,200 calories is not much. Like some you can pull up to a fast food restaurant, order that meal that they have, and it's 1,158 calories. So that gives you 42 calories to finish the rest of the day. But like, to put that in perspective, when you eat healthy and you eat right, like I have a chicken breast with rice and some broccoli, 480 calories. So now, you know, to think that a kid, you know, this is what I need to eat in order to operate my body correctly and have that discipline is crazy to me, because as an adult, if I walk by an Oreo, crushing it.
Yeah.
So, kudos to those kids that can do that.
Well, and like Coach said, the parents too. You got to kind of
Yeah.
keep an eye on them.
Yeah, it's often a family affair.
Yep. And it's got to be.
It's often a family affair.
Now that's, like we talked earlier, you've been doing this for 38 years.
That's a long time.
And just a couple years ago, you actually won your 500th dual meet.
I think we did, yeah.
And there's only been like 10 coaches in the history of the state that's ever did that.
How does that feel?
That made me feel old.
Oh,
That made me feel old.
you didn't like.
When I first found out, I mentioned it to my wife, Jennifer, and she looked at me, she goes, "Really?" She goes, "I'm not impressed until you get to single digits." Because I was like
Wow.
the 11th coach that many wins. She goes,
Oh, man.
I'll be impressed when you get to single digits."
Yeah.
And that's now, I'm not sure if my stats are right or not, but is it 34 Grant Fours
I do not know those stats.
in 38 years? 34 Grant Fours. And
Wow.
I might be wrong on that. It might be higher.
So
It's in the water over there.
Is that what it
It
is?
is on the west side of Grant County. The water's really good. There's some good farm ground.
Yeah, that's true.
I could have used
The
that
west,
bottle.
but the western side of
Yeah.
Grant County is better farm ground. Those poor guys over at Eastbrook, they just don't have a chance. That farm ground's just not nearly as good.
Okay.
You don't have to ask me. I don't,
Yeah. We have some
I'm the
Eastbrook
wrestling coach,
listeners.
not the farm guru.
See, now Gas City doesn't have very many farmers. It's all the other surrounding county schools that have all the farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
That's it. But
Yeah,
22
the guys
sectional
in Marion and Miss Hill are
Yeah,
going,
that's-
farming, what's that?
city boys.
We got some agriculture going on.
You
Oh,
do.
man.
Just give a hard time.
Yeah, man. No, you're totally good. Totally good.
22 sectional championships for this guy,
Okay.
4 regionals. But the first one didn't come in 2014, 2015. Does that
Regionals.
sound right? Regionals?
Could be,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah. And then,
I'm not much of a stats man. You can
Yeah.
ask Andy Rod.
yeah, well, that's what I mean. But that's
Not much of a stats man.
and then-
So,
But recently, Brody Arthur
Yeah.
was your highest finisher
Yes.
at the state meet, right? 5th place, is that what it was,
Yes.
I believe?
Yes.
Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years. Brody Arthur, that's,
Yeah. And the other surprise was the semi-state.
that's where, for Brody?
As a team.
Oh, yeah, yep, yeah, that's right.
2
You
years
guys
ago.
do have a semi-state.
Yeah. Nobody liked
2021,
the
yeah.
COVID year, but we loved it.
But that,
The stars lined up. And
yeah, I had that.
that was
down
a
too,
fever dream of a year, by the way.
crazy. That was
Yeah.
a very challenging year as a coach. They actually limited us to the number of kids that you could put in a group, because if somebody came down with COVID, they're coming to the practice, say, okay, who did this kid practice with the day before?
Oh, man.
And then they're all gone.
Uh-huh.
And that was a challenge. So we just had them in 3-man groups, and that was it. Because usually you rotate around the room, and
Right.
we had to keep them separated.
Yeah, that's, but now let's talk about your youth program over there.
Okay.
You've got a youth program you guys have over there too.
Yes.
Throw a little bit of,
Oak Hill Wrestling
About
Club starts when you're kindergarten. Dan Brockler got it going pretty good. We had other coaches in the past that have supplemented. I don't spend as much time as I used to with it. It's a nice, strong program. The Rossmans are involved in that. They have children involved in it also.
Yep.
And Matt Ramey is heading it up this year. Those are the 3 main ones. Just encourage kids to just try it out. Just try it out. And they have fun. We try to emphasize fun. Because there's so many things you can do that's competitive, and we'll just try to go with fun. So I encourage everyone to come out and try it out. And some people don't like it. Then they come back when they're 6th grade. Okay, now I'm gonna try it again.
Right.
No, I still don't like it. Well, they come back in 7th grade. Okay, I like it now. And we try to get the junior high program so that it does not interfere with basketball. So you don't have to choose. So 7th, 8th grade, 6, 7, and 8, you can do both.
Yep, but then wrestling starts after basketball.
Yes,
in
we
junior
hold
high.
it. We hold it, so you
Yep.
you can actually do both.
Yep, see, that's great right
I think
there.
that helps.
Yep, it does. Now, you mentioned the Rossmans, I mean, that's, because they had two
They're state
sons that
qualifiers.
went through,
There's
right?
3 of them.
The three? Okay.
Wow.
Everybody wants to forget the redheaded stepchild, Bradley, the youngest one.
Okay, yeah, because
Craig and Jake.
Yeah, I actually
Bradley.
went to school with their parents, you know.
Yes.
So Chris would have graduated the same year you did, and then Susie graduated
Yes.
with me. Yeah,
Yeah, Chris, great people.
yeah, they are.
And that has to be, and it is, one of the, I don't know, it's not a secret. The support that the wrestling program has from the administration at Oak Hill as well as the parents.
Right.
There's so many people that go into it. It's not just Coach King's show. I'm just the guy that gets to sit in the front chair.
Yep.
And, but the parents, ex-wrestlers come back and encourage wrestlers who are thinking about quitting or don't know if they're going to come out at all.
Right.
Because they don't want to try it. They haven't tried it. But parents talking to other parents saying, it's okay. It's not like on TV. It's not WWF.
Right, right.
There's no chairs bashed on anyone's head. All
They're
those
not
things.
throwing on a bunch of thumbtacks.
Yeah, so it's a whole community.
So in your 38 years, I don't know how difficult this is going to be for you, but in your 38 years, what is the most memorable year that you've had coaching wrestling or what have you?
I cannot say a particular year. There's moments.
Or moments,
It's kind of
yeah.
like in life. Which year?
Yeah.
Which year of your life did you really remember? Well, it's an event.
Yeah.
And sometimes
yeah,
it's
it's
the
not-
craziest events. One of the more memorable today, because tomorrow I'll have a different memory, but today my memory is Cassidy Wilson down at Market Square Arena on Friday night, wrestling the #1 ranked kid in the state, and the crowd is watching the match, and all of a sudden, you hear the crowd at the same time you see what you're seeing, and Cassidy Wilson takes the #1 ranked kid in the state to his back in a spladle. And the whole crowd goes, oh,
In a spladle?
in a spladle.
Oh,
and you
man.
don't get out of a spladle, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you go spladle, it's
Yeah,
incredibly
you-
hard to get out of the spladle.
You're split in
And
half.
it's a tough move to get out of. And we're like, oh, and then 10 seconds later, the kid's out of the spladle. And we're going, oh. And Cassidy in his confidence or arrogance or whatever, if you know Cassidy Wilson, he serves for our freedom today. And does
Which
it
we
well.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Yes.
Does it well. He stood up, got up, stuck that single leg out there to let Eric Keith snatch it up, and sure enough, the poor guy snatched it up again, and he threw his spladle into him again. It's off of a counter to a single leg. And this time he didn't get out. The whole crowd went, oh, and Cassidy beat him.
Oh, man.
That
That-
was, when you beat the #1
Yeah.
kid in the state, that's awesome. But that's an amazing on the accomplishment side. But you also, I can remember a kid going out there and wrestling, and it's his first match he ever won. And then, whether it's in junior high or high school, and Coach Perkins is one of our main junior high coaches. And he's like, we talk about, we're trying to get Freddie, we're trying to get Joey, we're trying to get him a win. He doesn't have a win yet. We're trying to get him a win, And then everybody's on the sidelines, and somebody gets a win, and you watch everyone just jump up, and it's like everybody else in the whole stadium or the gymnasium's going, "What are they all excited about?"
Yeah,
Well, it's Joey's first win.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's his only win because he can't chew bubble gum and walk and talk at the same time. He's just not coordinated.
Yeah, me either.
And yet, and then he gets a win. It's like a smile, and then I get all excited because he's hooked. Now he's going to wrestle.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just get that first win, and it's awesome.
Now he's going and YouTubing videos of famous wrestlers from back in the day. he's about it. That's how you hook him. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So tomorrow I can probably remember some other moments. The Yeah, Brody Arthur, you mentioned him, his accomplishments, wrestling. He just would learn how to wrestle the guy he was wrestling each period. He was one of the best I've watched at learn how to change his movement according to what his opponent did. He's a great, and a lot of people didn't see that, but I felt like I saw it, so I actually didn't need to coach him.
Really?
I just had the front row seat. So you can give me credit for his accomplishments, but I'm not going to take him because I just watched him wrestle because he would watch videos and he would learn, and that's how. So Brody Arthur's a very self-taught,
So what do you call that? A tactician?
Strategic,
smart.
smart.
He's
Yeah.
just very tactical, and that's
I want him on my team. If we go to battle somewhere, I want him on my team.
there you go. That's
Because he's going to tactically
Yeah.
figure out.
oh man, that's
Yeah.
now. What about? Do you have a favorite wrestling movie?
Favorite movie?
About wrestling. Is there
Sport movie.
anything?
Something that you a go-to movie that if it's on and you're flipping through the tube, I that's an old reference because there's no more tubes. If you're flipping through the
I
flat,
knew exactly what you're talking about.
if you're flipping through the flat screen, you just
I can't go past it when it's on. Oh,
Yeah.
man, I'm not much of a movie watcher, I don't think. One doesn't stick in my mind.
probably don't have enough time in the day to sit and watch
I don't know.
movies.
The movie that always scared me the most was Jaws
Yeah, me too.
and Halloween. So
Yeah.
when you're scared, those are the ones like Jaws and Halloween.
The movie that I can think, the wrestling movie that I can think of is Vision Quest with Matthew Modine.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And I always watch The Natural whenever I see it on. Yeah.
I'm not just a wrestling fan, though.
Yeah,
I'm
football.
an athletics fan, yes.
What's your guilty pleasure athletic competition that you'll watch?
Guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Explain that.
Okay, so softball. I will watch softball
College
on
softball.
TV. College softball on TV. I'll get my girls together and flip on I'll go and I put it on in the garage TV, and I'll go throw some brats on and drink some beer out there and watch college softball.
Nebraska women's volleyball.
Oh yeah,
Penn State's. I mean, the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Volleyball. It's like,
That is-
man, they'd hurt me if I got in that,
Man,
that game.
tell me about it. That's a good. I like watching that
Yeah,
too. And that's-
I mean, they have Caitlin Clark playing
Yeah.
playing on Sundays, and I'm
Yep.
working on my puzzle, watching the Caitlin Clark. And my kids
Working
come
on
down,
a puzzle.
and my kids come down and go, "What are you doing, Dad?" I said, "I'm watching the game." Yeah, I like puzzles. I'm a puzzle.
Crossword or
No.
Sudoku?
No, the old-fashioned kind. We got to
Oh.
put pieces together.
You put together picture puzzles?
Yes.
That is so cool, man. We do it at the house, but we also have a cat who's kind of a butthole. So
I have a clear piece of plastic. That's
Okay.
like a piece of plastic. Just lay over the top of
Yep.
it. Cats can walk on your puzzle and not mess up the pieces.
There you go.
I feel like that's not what he does. I feel like he pulls a piece out, one piece, and it's
Then it's
gone.
missing somewhere.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's usually the one in the middle, right dead in the middle.
The one you need, you can't
Yeah,
find it.
yeah.
That's
Coach, we really appreciate you. We know you're busy.
No, this is awesome. Come in and
And-
talk about that. I know there's a lot of people I should have mentioned their names, but I haven't.
well.
You're more than welcome to
Yeah,
give
that's
shout
that's
outs.
your business.
Well, shout out to
Let's
my
let
wife.
everybody know what you
Oh,
do.
that's what. Shout out to my wife, Jennifer King.
Yeah.
It was Redkowski. So I gifted her. She came from the region, so there's more skis up in the region, they think, than Aspen, Colorado. And she came down to Oak Hill and taught for a year, and she never went back.
There you go.
And we have 4 fantastic children. Noah, my oldest, he works with us in the business, and he also played football at
Yep.
IWU and football at Oak Hill
Okay.
and wrestled. So he got a taste of me as a coach and a dad.
And a father. Yep.
And that was an interesting.
What's the difference?
That's.
It's uniquely different.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I try to be. Yes, I know that Noah's my son. He's out there wrestling, but I still got to coach him the same way or react the same way so that I'm not
Yep.
being viewed as, oh, well, that's his son,
Right. Yep.
type thing.
That's a hard line to walk sometimes.
And my second son, Nolan, he's 23. He did not wrestle. That was because when he was born with a heart condition that gave him, basically with God's willingness, he received a heart transplant at 8 months of age.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's a Riley child. And now
Awesome.
he's 23 or 4. He'll laugh at me because I can't remember. And doing great. He's working in the business also.
Oh, good.
My oldest daughter, Taylor, she's a sophomore over in Olivet, over in Kankakee, Illinois, or I guess it's not really Kankakee, it's the one north of it. I forget what they call it, that the campus is actually on, but good enough, it's over there. Olivet Nazarene.
Nazarene, yep.
You know, a shout out for her, because her brother's not gonna like this, but last year, her brother said she was a fluke All-American in swimming.
Oh.
But this year, she proved that she wasn't a fluke because she did it 3 times.
Oh, my.
She's a 3-time All-American
Uh-oh.
and swimming over at she's in the NAIA
Yeah.
over it. It's still exciting. And then Tori, my youngest daughter, 2 boys and 2 girls. She's a dancer. She
Yeah.
dances. So maybe she'll live on the East Coast or Chicago, or her and her mother go dancing everywhere. And
She'll be on Broadway.
It's
She'll be dancing
maybe.
on
I was just thinking that.
They're all 4 totally different. A shout out to my children because of their willingness to. There's many weekends that I'm not home,
Right, yep.
or I don't see them perform because I'm coaching, which is fine.
Your coach, and you said your wife coaches swimming, right?
She does. She's one of the club coaches and helps
Okay.
with the high school. And she was a swimmer.
Okay.
She went to Ball State. She swam at Ball State.
Man, this is,
So they might think the athleticism that's in my family came from my side. It really didn't. It came from that ski side. That was California. one of those Polacks from the region.
but then let everybody know a little bit about your business. I mean, that's, you know,
And we do excavation, construction, concrete work. We reclaim and put out corn piles for the elevators, cover them with plastic, little niche on the side, mostly in the Grant County area. You know, if the neighbor's cat's stuck in the tree, we'll get it out. If we can make $1 on whatever it is, we'll do it again.
there you go.
That's
Perfect.
awesome, Coach. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. We know you're a busy man.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Coach.
This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, well,
And-
I enjoyed it too.
You
We
know
learned a
what?
lot.
Hopefully, you've enjoyed it so much you'll come back again.
I will. I will, no problem with that.
All right.
I'll have to give the basketball coach a tough time because they actually got interviewed before I did. So they're giving me a tough time, is what they are.
Baseball coach did too.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Is that what he is? Is Shane actually a baseball coach? Oh, that's right, because they got divisions, right? I give him a hard time.
Yeah.
I give him a hard time. 'cause
wrestling
he's got-
single class.
Yeah, single class. And I give Shane a hard time because, right, you got the regional. Oh, yeah, that's right. In division, which one?
But swimming single as well, right?
Yes. Swimming is single as well.
And that's what do you do there? Carmel.
Carmel State.
Carmel.
Oh,
That's
my
unbelievable.
goodness.
They're all American.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, Coach, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Take the summer off. I'm sure you probably won't with wrestling. I'm sure you got stuff
My
they got
assistant
to
coaches get
do.
things going on.
There you go.
I'll shout out to assistant coach Chris Tarleton and Adam Perkins. They've been with me far too long.
I was going to ask you how long they've been with you.
Too long because they can't be in the right mind and still be with me that long.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again.
Thanks. That was awesome, man. Thank you so
Good.
much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.